Hey guys, so that last one, it came out pretty well, and I think basically it came out pretty well, so I wanted to save it on its own, and then I wanted to come back as well. So here we are, and so yeah, that last stream was pretty cool. Check it out for the advertisement. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of an ad here, but also you may want to check it out because basically, like, my life has gotten very strange, and it's actually demonstrably strange. It's not just strange, you know, like, things are strange, but sometimes things can be strange where it's like, you know, you don't necessarily have a line of things to point to wherein you can show how it looks in a way that an outside observer would see it and perhaps say, like, okay, yeah, that is kind of strange. However, sometimes, especially if you might keep track of things, or for instance, if you're reading a Stephen King book and enough things line up in that book, sometimes there is a line of things that you might be able to point to and say, it looks strange. This looks strange right here. It does. It do. You know, whatever. Anyway, let's keep going. So yeah, this is sort of a celebration stream, and today was sort of a second relaxation day in a row. I'm looking to relax anyway. It'd be nice to just relax. But I'm looking to have a nice relaxation time, and that'll be great. But until then, or going on with that, we continue. Oh shit, okay. That helps. Let's do that. Okay. So this is a great game. And oh yeah, so the advertisement being, if you just saw this one, you don't go back and watch that. I have a new YouTube video up, and it's pretty good. I think it came out well. I like how it came out. So you may want to check it out. It's the next one in line of, like, videos where I do, like, perhaps a particular amount of, like, editing and stuff. Immune to poison. And, like, not that other videos don't have some editing involved, but basically, if you check out, like, other videos that I've done, which may indeed be, like, for example, a video of a stream. Oh, DualShock battery level low, okay. If you check out videos of other videos, hold on. Okay, I want to take my computer to the other room. Alright. Yeah, so if you check out some of my other videos, hold on, sorry. Hold on. Well, first of all, Matt, don't live in fear. How about that? All right, sorry. Hold on. Let me just breathe a little bit. Good enough. So yeah, if you check out some of my other videos, some of them are fairly highly edited, but some of them aren't, and many of them aren't. But the Kingdom Hearts one is, so a lot of editing work went into it, and I look forward to. Yeah, I think basically it came out well. I think the Dead Rising one came out well. You may check out Play Beat 'em Ups even before those two. I think that came out pretty well as well. And you know, I have many videos on the channel, but part of the rationale, or perhaps the effective nature of having made some playlists, such as Somewhat Polished and Less Structured, is to show like, hey, if you're looking at my channel, there are many videos that don't have as much structure. But there are some that have a decent amount, and I imagine that if somebody stumbled onto the channel and they were like, hey, oh, you know, like, maybe I like what you did here, but then there are a lot of other videos wherein it seems like you basically, you had, I don't know, you had less in them. Basically, if you're looking for a more traditional type of, like, approachable YouTube video and less of a talky kind of, like, more podcasty thing, then you might go to Somewhat Polished. Good, we got him with the silence. Now, we may want to get those guys with the silence as well. Yeah, so it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing, like, the response for this. I hope there's a large response. I think there could be. And oh, Riku, yeah. You know what? We might want to use Riku. I think there could be a fairly large response to this, and that would be awesome. I've been working. Oh, wait a second. Huh? Oh, okay. Special. Yeah. Use. Okay. As opposed to the other people. This makes it not just like, oh, everyone can use a grenade. It's like, that's actually Riku's ability. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, I think I've put in enough work now, or a lot of work, in the direction of this, that you might go to the YouTube channel and you might be like, oh wow, you know what, there's actually a decent amount here that I might like to watch. And yeah, so wouldn't it be fun, man? Wouldn't it be great to have a lot of good returns on that? Oh shit. Oh, Waka learned an overdrive move. Cool. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Yeah, let's actually flee. We are in sort of a high level area, or maybe higher than.
Live and let live.
Live and let live. I love that. I remember that. Maybe higher level than we're ready for right now. So let's use maybe the rest of our potions, because our potions are not necessary. Oh, Riku only has 360 health. What? Wow, okay, well, maybe we want to do a sphere grid as well. Yeah, this is a slightly higher level area, so let's see what we can do. And I had an idea today. I think I had a sense today, and Matt, maybe you can listen to this yourself. But I think I had a sense today of, like, you know what, like, as long as basically, like, I'm pretty good right now, like, pretty. Oh shit! No. we would have been moving past stuff. I had a sense today of like, you know, things are actually like pretty like things don't have to be like Matt, like basically you've been living in a state of sort of like I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm not sure how much of it is personal versus how much of it is external. And think only of what you want, right? But just to sort of talk about the landscape, like, because I don't think this is kind of talking about emotions. It's not necessarily talking about circumstances. I suppose you can attract emotions back to you and stuff. But actually, this is a pretty good point. David McEwen, whom I mentioned in the Kingdom Hearts video, David McEwen. And if I didn't, I don't know, maybe I sort of talked around. If I didn't specify a new Kingdom Hearts video tonight, that's what the advertisement stream thing might be referring to. Whatever. But David McEwen, he talks about like, all right, like, yeah, you can sort of like, you can say you manifest thoughts and stuff, but let's, just to sort of make it simple, let's talk about manifestation as in manifesting like results. And so, you know, perhaps in that sense, talking about emotional stuff, rather than talking about perhaps circumstances that may be less preferable, it might be a little more of a guardrails kind of way to talk about it. So, or at least, you know, maybe like I can sort of, if I feel interested in talking about that, then maybe it'd be fine enough. But I feel like I have been dealing with sort of a sense of like fear, a decent amount of fear and stuff, and I get the sense that actually like I'm kind of circumstantially like things might be kind of good, and so now might actually be a really good time. It probably might always be a good time, but now might be, for me even, a really good time to let go. Or for me specifically here, it might be a really good time to just be like, yeah, you know what, Matt, like, oh, just like, we can let go of some of this anxiety, because, you know, perhaps it's even external. Perhaps there is something external about it. Now, you might point back to that and say, well, there you go. If it's sort of like anxiety or like some fear that might have some kind of external genesis or whatever, or generative factor, then would that not be like some kind of manifestation more so than just like, you know, talking about like, oh, you know, I feel a certain way or I think a certain thing. That's interesting, you know. But like, you know, let's. It's a good time to let go. And it might be a good time to let ourselves roll. Like, let ourselves roll. Like, oh yeah, like Matt, like you'd like to play this game, perhaps until the other game is fully downloaded, and then maybe you'd like to play that game, right? You've had today was sort of a relaxation day. You've still had some productive stuff today. Even today, you've had some good productive stuff, and yet we're kind of thinking of it as a relaxing day anyway. So it might be nice to continue the stream. It might be nice to like, yeah, hey, if you like to continue streaming, hey, if the stream's going, great. And if you feel sort of like a sense of fear or a sense of foreboding or a sense that like another shoe is going to drop, perhaps we can let go of that. Perhaps we can, you know, say, hey, maybe let's see what we can do to let go, rather than perhaps running into a sense of like, okay, I've got to do a specific action now, or like I'm looking to do a specific action to forestall some kind of perhaps imagined or whatever adverse effect that seems to be associated with like it, maybe in sort of an OCD sense, like not doing that particular action. Like, for example, I'm not saying like unscrew the cap of this so that I can reach inside and get a pretzel, or I'm not necessarily saying in sort of a moving away fashion like, But you know, don't like it'd perhaps be better not to like I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what example I want to use. What example I'd like to use that. Okay. Like it perhaps would be better. Oh, like perhaps it'd be better not to drop a pencil on the floor. Like pick a pencil up and drop it on the floor, in the sense that, you know, maybe you'd rather have the pencil on the table, right? Like this particular pencil. It's like, you know, maybe it'd be better if you'd like to keep it on the table, maybe it'd be better not to pick it up and drop it on the floor. Because then, you know, might not be a big deal, but then you might reach down and, you know, then between it being back on the table or not, being back on the table and being on the floor, it might involve you reaching down to pick it up. And maybe you feel like you'd rather just have it on the table in the first place. I'm talking about more like, if I don't pick up this pencil, or perhaps if I don't end this stream, then like I'd have some fear that like something seemingly unrelated to it would happen or wouldn't happen. And if that's the kind of sense of fear, or the kind of sense of like some kind of like agreement, or some kind of like, you know, scenario, if A then B, that seems to be coming up as a thought, then perhaps we can say, hey, you know what, like maybe we can let go of that a little bit. And if it seems like, indeed, particularly in this case, if it seems like it's like, oh, you know, if you don't end the stream, then, you know, like basically you gotta end the stream, or you gotta say this particular series of words in a particular way, or else. And often the or else just feels like sort of like a sense of foreboding anyway, or something. A trailing off. It's like, okay, well, how about we just, you know, how about you just, maybe you can look at that, say a thought like that, say something arises, a sense of that arises. Maybe you can just sort of see if you can let go. Instead of like doing something, or even not doing something. Perhaps instead of engaging with it in one way or another, maybe just you can sort of let go. And continue to stream, because I'm having a good time. Okay, and now we have a decent amount of ability spheres. Good, because that one actually we hadn't used an ability sphere for before, because we had run out. We had used I think ability spheres for maybe all three of these at once, but those were the last three. And then we just basically, I think we might have even had extra moves, but we just basically stayed here. Or in any case, we just stayed here from before. So let's see. Can we, oh, move, yeah, okay, cool. And what do we have? Do we have anything for that? Oh man, excellent. Okay. Oh, Riku. Oh, wait a second. Does how many moves does she have? Yeah, well, let's just keep going. Hold on. Oh, sphere level 0. Oh, that's interesting. S level 0. So when it says S level, that indicates how many places they can move, not what level they're at. Because here you go. Look, level 1 lock is blocking the way. See, that seems to indicate like what level of sphere you're on, or at least area. But when it says S level there, or S.LV anyway, that seems to be more a count of how many movements you have. So great. So which direction are we going in with Riku? Hold on. No. Hold on. Okay, good. So let's. Huh. Oh, okay. Yeah, where does her sphere grid start? Let's check that. Oh, it appears... Oh, there's no... Yeah, okay, so this goes off to level 2, and then... Who might this be? Reflect. Maybe that's like Yuna or something. Or Lulu, or some more magic-based person. But okay, so let's... But say we use the level 2 sphere, we could go into that part of the sphere grid. But instead, let's just use power sphere. And then another power sphere. Oh, good. And then, see, we could have gone this way, and we also could have gone that way. But these are behind different blocks. Okay, how is that 200? Okay, see, look, and the stuff behind that lock isn't necessarily going to be like outrageously different. See, raises max HP by 200 points, but then you go down here, and it raises max HP by 200 points. See, now there may be different abilities over here that are sort of outrageous or different. Oh wow, look at this. This is just sort of its own little cordoned off area. You get an HP and a defense. Now that feels like that almost seems like sort of a cautionary kind of a lesson, like you may not want to use a level 3 unlocking thing because all you're unlocking is the chance to have 2 empty nodes, which you can put stuff on, and a raised defense by 4 and a raised max HP by 200. And as far as the defense goes, oh, defense by 2. That's okay, that's double the defense raise in this one. But it still seems like sort of a strange thing to have as like one of 2 existing nodes behind a fairly high level lock. So, okay, we're not going to go that way. We shall go down here. And HP good. Okay, so her HP has gone up now by like 400 points. That's pretty good because she was at 360. What? Now she's at 760. Let's check. 960. Oh, whoa! Wait a second. Oh, okay. We got 3 HP. Oh yeah, good. Okay, so yeah, we went up by 600. So see, there you go. So she starts at a fairly low level, but you see how quickly things can change when you're on the sphere grid. Alright. Oh boy. Yeah, Matt, you're good. You're good, Matt. Just sort of take it easy. Alright, so we got Orin here. And I'd like to, sorry for the repetitive music here, I'd like to do all the sphere grid stuff right now. We're encountering the sphere, or this sphere, you know. I'd like to do all the sphere grid stuff right now. Get it out of the way. Oh shit, Waka's got a decent amount. Okay, first of all, wait, that one looks like it's not. Oh, wait a second. Okay, that one looks like it's not actually done. Look. See that? Raises defense. We actually don't have something for that. Because, wait a second. Can we see defense elsewhere? Maybe... Has that one been activated? It looks like that... Wait, let's check for another defense. No, okay, that has been. Okay. One thing is, we may... Let's... The general practice is you like to go as far as you can on the sphere grid, maybe, but if you encounter a sphere that you haven't, as I was talking about with Lulu and the ability spheres, if you encounter a sphere where you don't have, indeed you don't have a sphere to activate the sphere, in this case the ability sphere, then, but if you didn't have that, then you might just want to stop and wait there until you have the sphere, and then, you know, you can move later, assuming you're going to play the game again or come back again, etc. Or in the case that you do. So what do we got? Power sphere, yeah. So we have a lot of these actually. Abilities, let's see. Ability spheres are a little more in demand, I think. At least maybe at this point in the game, because we have 70, 62, 40. We got a lot for those. For these, I think there are fewer ability spheres on the thing because they represent abilities that you can use. So it's like sort of a, you know, characters don't necessarily have that many abilities or not a huge amount. Whereas they raise their power, they raise their defense in various ways, they raise their magic or mana, and, you know, they use those other things probably a lot more. So, in any case, okay, we got 0 moves with Waka, 0 with Kamari, we got 4 with Yuna. Okay, wait a second. Oh, that one... Hold on. Hold on, wait a second. Leo? Actually, to not act in fear, I'd just like to... Hold on. I just want to make sure that nothing strange is going on. Not that I think the strange thing would happen with the cat, but I mean like basically that the house is empty other than the cat. So hold on just a second. I don't know how far I'm gonna walk. I just wanna sort of... Leo? Leo? Sorry guys, hold on. Or, well, it's like, oh, 0 people. Well, if anyone watches the VOD, etc. Leo? Leo? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So I don't necessarily anticipate that there is anything going on elsewhere in the house, and indeed I'd rather not go elsewhere in the house, because while this is kind of a structure of something I'm working with here. Indeed, while I'd like to sort of let go of like anxiety and stuff like that, I do, and this you might refer to Robert Bruce with the Psychic Self-Defense Handbook and stuff. While I'd like to let go of things as they appear, I think there might be like certain parts of like a house or certain objects in an environment or something that may appear to have like different... Basically, you may be walking into an energetic stew of some sort, depending on where you go. And I'd perhaps like to stay here rather than to go elsewhere if it seems like everything's generally okay. But I'd also like to, have some awareness of whether it seems like something else might be going on. So I think we've done this well enough. Okay. I'm gonna breathe a little bit, actually. Alright, yeah. So, yeah, indeed, we have, like, it's an interesting balance, and I'm not the biggest fan of the idea of balance. That may be funny, but there are certain things where I think, like, there's sort of a cultural... Oh, installed, excellent. There are certain things where there's a cultural understanding of, like, oh, XYZ is good and XYZ is bad. And I think people refer to balance as, like, a good thing. At least with the idea of balance, I mean, it can be fun to ride a bike and stuff, like to balance on a bike or balance on a skateboard. And I think the concept of fun, or like the experience of fun, often it has to do with like sort of staying in the middle of like one side and another, and kind of like, the teetery-tottery, like, oh, it's a little thrilling, whatever. However, oh, okay, we're good. However, I'm not a big fan of the idea of balance, insofar as it's like basically like, oh, you gotta live your life in a balance. And it's like, doesn't that seem like you're just sort of living your life in a sense of like continuous or even continual anxiety? Because balance is basically like, oh, it could tip here, oh, it could tip there, let's stay in the middle. And I'm not talking about like going out and like doing seemingly extreme or unbalanced things, as you might call them. I'm just saying, it seems like you're sort of basically putting something on yourself if you're like, oh, you gotta find a balance of all this stuff. It's like, how about we just let go of that? How about we let go of this balancing act? Because isn't it funny, there's also another phrase in the common lexicon called a balancing act. And doesn't it sound like it might be a stressful life if your whole life is a balancing act? And yet, a lot of people, I think, talk about like finding a balance in life and stuff in a way where it seems to me like it might indeed, there might be some balancing act component that they might be not acknowledging. Another thing, it's like, okay, Matt, well, what else? Well, another thing is loyalty. It's funny because people consider loyalty like a virtue. I don't think loyalty is a virtue. I think loyalty is actually not a virtue. I think loyalty might be a vice. You know why? Because loyal in the face of what? Loyal in the face of what? Say you have like a sense of like, you know, my highest value is truth or honesty, but then to be loyal to someone, like, it's like, oh, would you lie for this person? It's like, if I'm looking to be honest, then loyalty would specifically in that case involve, or an idea of loyalty may involve compromising my values. And I'm not sure if there's a single place where loyalty would ever be good. Like, truly, what doesn't loyalty involve, like, it's like, oh, but compromise can be good. It's like, but compromising your values? Like, I don't know. To me, it seems like loyalty generally involves, like, or it seems like it may involve, and perhaps a lot, compromising your values and basically being like, to be loyal to someone, I'm going to do something that's not particularly good. And so I think loyalty is actually like, and here's the thing, I think our society is set up in indeed a very negative loyalty way. I think our society is set up in a way where people would bank on your loyalty. Bank, that's an interesting term there. People would bank on your loyalty, maybe that's more of a metaphor for it, bank on it, but, you know, people would desire you to have loyalty because there are so many things perhaps that are going on where if you actually said, well, I'd rather be dedicated to being honest than to have some sense of loyalty, then it would sort of like lead you perhaps to a place where you would perhaps acknowledge anyway that the decision point is, I'm going to compromise my honesty or I'm going to remain so-called loyal. And then you may find yourself in a situation where you don't have a lot of people that you seem to see eye to eye with, or basically it's like, or, well, you might see clearly, but it's like you might not seem to have a lot of friends, or you might seem to have like people like coming after you, or, you know, whatever, low men in yellow coats. Check out the previous stream for that, or maybe. But it's like, if you remain honest rather than being loyal, you're probably say like maybe 30 or 15% of people in society were honest rather than loyal. I think our society would basically break down, but it would break down in a good way, because it would break down in the sense that like a machine that is like pumping sewage into a river would break down, and wouldn't that be nice? I don't know. You know, it's like, oh, what, you just want to watch the world burn? It's like, no, not at all. But what I would like to see is like fewer people get hurt. That'd be nice. And I think loyalty is a big thing that keeps that going. People getting hurt. It's like, oh, I'm loyal to the Marines, I'm loyal to my country, I'm loyal to my family. It's like, that's probably the beginning of a lot of hazardous behavior and just a lot of bad times for all.
Good day.
Loyalty.
Is it true? I heard that Maester Seymour and Lady Una are to be wed.
Nay.
It's such great news. I have to tell everyone.
No, isn't it not true?
Where'd you hear that?
From the grotto.
Oh
They
boy.
were all very excited.
You bastards.
I'm afraid you heard a little wrong. Yuna's gonna turn him down.
Isn't that funny though?
Oh,
This game is talking about how the Al Bhed, this is crazy. this game is talking about how the Albed are like, you know, like, oh, like Waka doesn't like the Albed, but, you know, the Albed maybe are generally nice. It seems like they're kind of fighting these guys a lot, and they're showing up and trying to kidnap Yuna, so I'm not totally sure about the Albed, but Riku seems nice. But it's funny because they're talking, but basically it seems like a theme, like, oh, the Albed may be unfairly disliked, or there may be prejudice against them. However, there's also a group of people called the Guado, where almost all of them are like, yeah, we're a superior race. I'm not saying that, I'm saying they're saying that. Like, they literally say, like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're not the same as you, and, you know, we are better, but, you know, we'll still talk to you. Like, it's sort of the patronizing kind of left-wing thing. It's like, oh wow, you're from another country. It's like, you want to talk down to them? Like, do you think this makes you look like you see people as equals? In any case, it's funny because then it's like, oh, the Guado were all talking about it. They were all saying that Seymour is going to marry Yuna, and it's like, basically what I'm saying is, or what I might be coming to as a point is, this game seems to be making a statement about prejudice, as in, you know, prejudice might not be great in terms of the Albed, but then it seems to be sort of showing a different thing with the Guado, because it seems like the Guado generally are like fairly unsavory, and indeed it seems like culturally they might be kind of crappy. That's funny. I don't know.
I see. That's unfortunate. Well, I'm sure that people would have rejoiced all over Spain.
Oh yeah, give us that line. We talked about that. You can go back to an earlier stream to check into that. But yeah, that's funny. All right, hold on. Let me breathe a little bit and maybe let go. Ah. Okay. Alright, so yeah, we're good. Or hopefully we are. You know what? There's a fucking... I imagine there's a treasure over there. Let's go check it out. But what I'm looking mainly to do, and then I think I'm going to let the controller charge for a bit, and then I think I'm going to come back, and everything will work out pretty well that way. What I'm looking mainly to do is to get to another save point, and then we'll end this stream, and then we'll probably come back with another one. Oh man, how about in favor of that, or in potential, you know, like service to that, how about we just throw a grenade? This should take him out. Oh no. Maybe not.
Sorry, maybe next time. Ha!
Now this should take that out immediately, but then hopefully her next magic attack will take out the blue guy. And as for Riku, let's steal. A lunar curtain, cool, that sounds fun. Oh, Larva's magic increase. Larva, do we ever see it grow into anything? That'd be cool. Let's see if we can steal again. Usually, oh, another lunar curtain. Crap, okay. If she could steal her own things and then use them in battle, that'd be perfect. I don't know if that happens, but... By the way, notice we haven't seen any treasure chests in battles recently. Perhaps it's already sort of like past the point where you're going to see a lot of that. Because it's funny, because I don't know, it was like, oh yeah, like Riku can find treasure chests in battles and open them, and it's like they seem to like present it as a fairly big thing. Oh crap, never mind. And then, I guess there isn't, whatever. But then, and then it's like, wait a second, like, do they really have that a lot in the game? And I don't think they do. Sorry, yeah, we're rolling along with it. Now, I may sound confident, and indeed, like, you know, I like to. I think I'm on a pretty good track with a lot of these things, but there is a sense of, like, you know, some, like the Robert Bruce thing. Sometimes it does seem like there can be some energies. Like, for example, Eckhart Tolle. Also, he's a classic example. I've talked about it, but he talked about going into this room, and there was this woman. And, like, I guess there had been a fight or something, and, like, he felt the energy, like, he felt like it was sort of a heavy energy, something was going on. And, like, he went in, and, like, he opened some curtains and whatever to, like, kind of, like, maybe let the energy out or whatever. But I think he said, like, maybe he felt some of the energy, like, went to him, or, like, in any case, maybe retrospectively it seemed like it did, because then he, and I guess her maybe, and or some other people, they went out to a restaurant, and then when Eckhart got there, I think he said he felt the energy leave him, and then there was this guy who, you know, who then, I think after that, basically started, like, he was in an electric wheelchair, and he started, like, berating the waiter, and he got, like, really mad, or he seemed to start acting very angrily, and he, like, ran into the waiter with his wheelchair, like angrily. Like, he drove it into him, and then the waiter apparently came over and, like, talked to Eckhart, and in sort of, like, a truth-droppy kind of way, like, and I think Eckhart, like, might have even said, like, the waiter might have been, like, sort of saying this as a joke or whatever, but it seemed like it was actually the case. The waiter's like, did you cause all this? It's like, there you go. So, let's let go of, like, the energy and stuff. Or, like, let's let go of a sense of fear and stuff, but I don't necessarily want to disregard that there may be some sense of, like, energy coming in, some sense of, like, perhaps like a cloud of, like, negativity that kind of, like, rolls through a room. And if it does, then you might be better off, like, indeed letting go, or, you know, doing whatever, rather than sort of disregarding it and then having it sort of stay there and have maybe perhaps some kind of effect. Ah, lunar curtain. Okay. So what does that do? Leo, you're okay. You're okay, Leo. I hope he is, anyway. I mean, he's just in another part of the house, and the door's locked there, etc. If things are, let's just say, unless somebody, like, is an intruder, then Leo should be fine. Especially given that he's meowing. In this case, it's just, yeah, he's meowing. It's like, all right, he probably wants to go outside or something. Tonight, I'm kind of done. I already left him with food and water, etc. Just to sort of lay it out. But yeah, it's like, okay, you know, he's got his food, he's got his water. If he doesn't go out tonight, then big deal. That may sound callous or something, but sorry. I'm not looking to keep him here, like keep him inside all the time either. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, in terms of, like, my interaction with stuff that's going on, I think that's more or less what I'm looking to have it be. Yeah, look at that. Okay. And now let's trade out her. Oh, Waka's kind of low too. Whatever. Let's trade out her for Waka, and we'll do the dark attack. Great. By the way,
For now.
There may be a virtue, because there's like, oh, you know, oh, so if a negative cloud of energy may roll through, it's like, okay, so now you have to stop everything or drop everything, etc. It's like, no, I'm not necessarily saying that. Like, for example, there's this book called The Key by Whitley Strieber, and that's interesting, The Key, right? There's this book called The Key where you can check out the book, I've talked about it, but he says something like, in the book, in any case, it says something like, and he's not necessarily presenting it as if it's a fact, but you can check out the book to see what it's like. But there is something that's said, like, basically, if a person were to be without fear totally for as long as a second, it would save all of humanity. And so you could look at this, like, sort of, you know, like energy and stuff. You could say, like, well, you know, you could sort of stop playing the game and maybe let go and stuff, and perhaps that might be good, or maybe you can keep playing the game and let go while you're in action, or breathe while you're in action, etc. You could do that as well. But you could also have a sense, not necessarily suppression so much as saying, look, I'm gonna let go of all fear, or, like, you know, basically like, hey, I'm just gonna keep going with this because I'm not afraid, and like, but not like necessarily like kind of ignoring fear or pretending you're not afraid or whatever, but, like, you know, legitimately just kind of like courageously continuing with what you're doing. I don't know. Uh-oh. Cat song. I think we get a summon here, but I'm not quite sure how to do it. Probably better that we don't do it right now anyway. Cool. Oh. Yeah, that's funny. That lightning stuff. Here's something from the illustrated RPG life, and I think it might be very helpful. Breathe if you're moving. Let go. You basically let go when you. Basically, like, if you're currently in action, and it feels like, you know, it seems like for whatever reason you'd rather not, like, stop and kind of let go and sort of step back from what you're doing. How about you breathe? And it's like, I'll give you a good example, actually. I just had a little omen, like, if Orin takes out this creature with that attack, then, like, basically something's wrong, or, like, something's not gonna work out, or, like, I should stop the stream, or, like, whatever. That's interesting. Now, then I had a little, it seemed like a little, like, kind of clue or kind of a sign, because the next attack, because I went on with it and I kept going, and the next, or like maybe like you should continue talking and explain a little more or whatever, or think whatever, or something will be left undone. But in any case, the next attack then said overkill, but I saw it and sort of the thought came to mind, almost like a they live kind of way or whatever, maybe whatever. In any case, override or overrule, as in like you're overriding a warning that you've gotten or something. And it's like, look, there can be subtle differences and stuff. And so, but here's the thing: what were we talking about before? What was I talking about before? Like before even just this last thing, it's like, you know what? Like, hey, look, maybe Matt, like if everything's going pretty well right now, and if perhaps things are like a little, you know, perhaps things are on a good path, then maybe what you do well to do is not necessarily respond to little things like, oh, you know, it's a bad omen and you should stop the stream if Orin kills him with the one hit or whatever. Perhaps it might be better to just sort of say, okay, this sense of like some kind of consequence for some seemingly arbitrary thing or unrelated thing or whatever, this sense seemed to have come up. Could we let go of it? Or like basically could we not engage with it or engage in it with that? I think we'd probably do well to fight this battle. Okay. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh. A little tooth problem. Oh well. No big deal. And see, it's like, oh, see, Matt? You were literally just saying rude fishery. Synchronicity. I can tell you about the synchronicity there. I can actually tell you about the synchronicity. That's very interesting. But see, Matt, you were literally just talking about like a bad omen or something. Now you have this tooth thing. What's the synchronicity? The synchronicity, or perhaps, is that's very interesting actually. And looking at something like that, it's like, what's going on? Like, what kind of Truman Show is this? What's going on? But this tooth, this pretty visible like gap here, that's been here for a while, that broke specifically when I was on a day where I was about to have a phone interview with a soup company to go work at like a soup factory that seemed to specialize in, or at least like the prominent thing that actually I ended up canceling the interview for, was that some of the soup had meat in it, and particularly like I think like a big thing, or one of the things, whatever, was clam chowder. Like basically it was going to work at a fish factory, more or less, or at least partially a fish factory. Fish were somewhat involved, and this tooth broke on that day when I was considering that. But then I ended up backing away, not because I didn't want to work. Basically, it would have probably been a decent amount of money, and it would have been a fairly stable job, and like in various ways, I think it would have been. Basically, I was like, oh, like this is great, like as far as like, you know, current situation, etc., and like improvement. It's like, oh, this is great. But then it's like, you know what? If I'm eating vegetarian, then it seems like it's sort of a compromise to go work at a place where like one of the primary things that they're not just sort of selling, but they're actually like, you know, manufacturing, involves the death of animals. And so, but on that day, you can see it. This tooth broke. That was like, I'm coming up on a year ago, close enough to a year ago now. And so it feels like another tooth. Like I think it's been kind of in the process of breaking, but just now, like I bit into one of these things, and it's like, oh, is that a piece of food? And it's like, oh no, that's a piece of a tooth. And now we have rude fishery. Look, this is the kind of stuff. It's synchronicity. I don't know if I explained that in a way where it tied enough of a bow on it where someone watching this would be like, oh my god, like just after you bit down and like the tooth thing, then the fish thing came up, and your most visible broken tooth, that's like basically when you're around someone long enough, they're simply going to see it, and it's not necessarily going to look good. That happened when on the same day that you were about to have an interview with essentially like, you know, a soup, well, you could say, I don't want to say, you know, a fish company, but indeed a soup company that, you know, let's just say like they advertised, like you went on their website and they had like 3 prominently displayed soups, and one of them, or maybe multiple of them, were like some version of like fish soup. And rude fishery, tooth broken, back then, tooth broken, fishery, tooth broken, rude fishery. I don't know. I don't know. But then beyond that, that happens right after you're like, oh, you know what, I got this sort of bad omen with the Orin thing, but, you know, maybe we're not going to engage with it, or maybe we're going to disregard it. Then tooth broken, then rude fishery, and it's like, and indeed, actually, that tooth breaking, that was when I had set up the interview, and I didn't like initially know like exactly what they were selling, or I hadn't looked at it, but I looked at it, and it's like, oh, you know what, this job would be so helpful. Like is there a way I can see clear to, you know, taking this interview and doing it anyway? And then the tooth broke that day. I think while I was still sort of more on the wavelength of like, all right, we're gonna at least do the interview or whatever. And then I ended up like I called him up and I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm canceling this interview. You know, this is just sound weird, but vegetarian. And the guy's like, okay. And it's like, Matt, you canceled an interview? Yeah, and it was like literally within an hour or something before the interview was. And so I felt like basically Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction, it's like shit. It's like, you know, now you told Marcellus you're going to throw the fight. Now if you don't throw the fight, that's a more honorable thing to do, or, you know, it's a dishonorable thing perhaps that you didn't do, but then it's sort of dishonorable because now you're going back on an agreement you made to be dishonorable. And, you know, it's like, in any case, yeah, tooth broke back then, you know, sort of something like that. And then tooth broke this time right after. It's like, well, you know, omen, and, you know, let's see if we can just disregard it. Rude fishery. Haha, wow. Yeah, so I gotta tell you, like, it's interesting. It can be interesting to see, like, how things sort of line up, and I don't know. I'm not sure how much of this is going to come off in one way or another, but, like, sort of being behind the driver's seat, or, like, sort of seeing this from, like, a first-person view or from a front-row seat, it's quite interesting to see. You know what? Screw it. Hey, we got a high potion. That'll do. Uh-oh.
Booyah!
Yeah.
I'm good, yeah?
So yeah, that stinks though. I think basically, like, it's like, oh, Matt, you got tooth problems. It's like, yeah, I haven't been the best. Like, I don't know if I've ever been, like, the best about keeping up with my teeth, but especially, basically, you find a lot of bad teeth when in a place like a jail, perhaps, and I think, like, when you go through enough stress, it can, one of the first things that it can be easy to sort of, like, be like, all right, you know what, like, this is gonna drop away. One of the first things is, like, brushing your teeth, like, you know, keeping up with that. It's like, yeah, you know what, it's like, man, it'd be nice, and I'm not saying, like, to just make an excuse, but it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, you might find yourself being like, hey, you know what, I'm not doing it tonight, or like, and if you do that enough, then it's like, okay, well, now, you know, we got some tooth problems, and yeah, that's okay, that's all right. You know, with Now here's the thing though, you don't want to live your life in fear, because I was just having like sort of a series of little things of like, don't do that, it's going to turn out badly if you do that. And it seems like, you know, sometimes indeed things do turn out badly if like you forgo, like, you know, paying attention to certain little signs or what seem like them. But if it's such a fierce and ferocious series of like, don't say that, no, don't do that, and like literally like perhaps like 3 times in 10 seconds, it's like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and it's all sort of like things where it seems like that's like a nice next thing to do or whatever. Yeah! At a certain point, it's like, you know what, like maybe let's get on a track where I'm not kind of, maybe not capitulating, but basically, maybe let's get on a track where I'm just kind of going along with what seems like, what feels like a good thing to do. And if it seems like there might be some kind of secondary omen or some kind of like bad thing attached to that, it's like, you know what, maybe we'll just keep keep going in the direction of like, oh, I'd rather talk about this, or I'd rather do this, or I'd rather keep going with the stream, or whatever. And maybe we can ride that long enough where now we start to I don't know, we start to like, I don't know, break free of the sense of like following these things. Because here's the thing, I'm not sure, I don't know, maybe it's just like, no, Matt, like if you follow, I don't know, maybe it's like, look, Matt, if you acknowledge and sort of like, you know, honor these intuitions or these senses of like even these little like scary omens and stuff, like, oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. If you honor this enough, then doing that will be on the track where you've broken free of this. But the thing is, like, for years and years, it feels like I've been honoring these things, and it just seems like I just get more and more, or maybe not more and more, but it just seems like it continues to be a thing where it's like, no, it continues to be a case of like, there are these omens happening, and it's like, look, I'm not sure if it's worth it to me to like, perhaps like, you know, okay, if you don't do this, then you won't have this bad consequence. I'm not sure it's worth it to me to feel like I'm on such a creaky, rickety bridge for so long that like it seems like, you know what, maybe it would feel more worth it to me to head in a direction of like, I'm just going to not be dishonest, not necessarily be bad, not anything like that, but perhaps while explaining, that's funny, while maintaining a sense of honesty and a sense of goodness, I'm gonna do what I'd like to do. I'm gonna do what I'd like to do, and you know, you can hit me with your fucking omens. You can hit me with whatever. But I'm gonna take that fucking collar off my neck, cause the real suffering of my life mainly now seems to be that I'm just having all these senses, whether they pan out or not, all these little senses of like, oh, you had an inclination to do that, no, don't. You had an inclination to talk about that, no, don't. You better not talk about that, oh, you better not do that, oh, you better stop the stream, oh, you better put the controller down and sit for a little while. It's like, you know what? Epictetus, it talks in the manual about sort of freedom and stuff, or like Seneca talks about like when you have earned your freedom or bought your freedom or whatever, and it's like, you know what, perhaps I'm not a big fan of the freedom stuff in itself. Like, I think a lot of people talk about freedom and they talk about doing like horrendous things, so I'm not saying like, oh, the freedom to like hurt, let's just say hurt an innocent baby in the womb. I'm not talking about like that kind of freedom, but more like a sense of like, am I gonna sort of walk through my life in a way where it's a little bit easier going. It's a little bit like, hey, you know what? If I'd like to talk about this, if I'd like to continue this stream rather than retreating from it, if I'd like to, you know, do this battle rather than, oh, I better not do that because I got an omen. It's like, it's not about, you know, doing evil things and making excuses for it or saying I have the freedom to hurt others. It's about saying I have the freedom to talk about this thing that I'm interested in saying, or even though it seems like there might be a bad omen or something. I'm not talking about like social taboos, which it doesn't, you might see it, that it doesn't seem like I'm necessarily the biggest follower of those, but I'm like, basically I'm saying, you know, I think the real pain of my life, what really seems to be like the real issue is like, I'm sort of loaded down. I'm hit with a barrage. I've been hit with a constant sea and a river of like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It's just like signpost after signpost after signpost, like spreading out perhaps to infinity. And it's like, okay, but if I follow all these signs, then eventually it's like, no, man. How about you be like, you know what, signs? See ya. You can hit me with whatever like real world consequences you want, but I think I'm just not that interested in living in so much living so like, oh no, living worrying, living in so much fear. Perhaps I thought to say that, living in so much fear. I'm not that interested in living in so much fear, because if basically, and I've talked about this before, but basically if everything is like a catastrophe waiting to happen, then it's like, all right, well then let's just You know, that's sort of like John Kabat-Zinn with full catastrophe living. But if everything seems like it's just going to be a catastrophe, then it's all right. Well, then let's just walk in one of the catastrophe ways rather than trying to dodge everything and just basically I don't know. And again, you don't necessarily want to walk that way in the sense of oh, now I'm going to go on a march for women's rights to do horrific atrocities to babies. You don't want to talk about freedom necessarily in that way. But perhaps this is exactly the opposite of that.
What's wrong?
Oh boy, what do you got, Riku?
You're giving me the creeps.
We made it, Riku. We're good. I think she's afraid of lightning or something.
Hey, whoa!
I want to go home. I hate lightning. I hate thunder. Let's go rest over there, please.
This storm never stops. Better to cross quickly.
I know, but just for a little while.
Well, that's what we're looking for, a
Well,
save point.
what now?
Pretty please? Just a few minutes.
I'm with Riku, guys. I'm with
scared
Riku.
of lightning.
Oh shit, this is
Let's
crazy.
rest, please. Pretty please.
Whoa.
I'm too young to die.
It's not really giving us much of a chance to do anything here.
Cruel.
Your moms would be ashamed of you. That's interesting. No, I'm going in. Fuck it. Screw you guys. Well, not screw you guys, but I'd like to save here. See, if Tita stays, they're all right, fine.
A little tired.
Oh, there's
Do you have
Yuna.
a room
Oh, that's
available?
sweet. I'm a little tired.
Ah, Lady Summoner.
That might not
yes,
be-
just over that way.
She might not be lying, maybe she is a little tired. It might be stated in a deceptive way.
Yuna?
It's not like her.
Yeah, basically I'm getting a sense that she kind of is doing that to, sort of help save Riku's feelings or something, I don't know. Okay, good. Finally, man. Oh boy, isn't this a great metaphor? We're blasted with the lightning planes, and then Riku's can't we just take a break for a little bit? It's I'm Riku.